Kevin Stefanski was asked about the depth on this defensive line. Here's what he had to say about what they're able to figure out with the Browns' depth.
I think at each one of these positions, Nate, I think it's working itself out. You're seeing who might be the starters, who might be the backups. I think we have some really talented guys in there. They work really hard. I think a bunch of those guys have had really good moments in this preseason. So I would say it's a very competitive group.
And Jeff, when you look at it, there's going to be a lot of tough roster decisions. I mean, up and down this, and it's kind of compounded by the fact that a lot of these guys haven't been able to get out in team drills.
Yeah, you want to be able to see what they can all do when they're all healthy and together, and that just hasn't happened. That's what John Johnson was just talking about. I'm curious. The defensive line is tough because you have a guy like Malik McDowell, who's an obvious physical talent. I'll go back to when he was at Michigan State. Even as a recruit in Michigan, he was one of the most sought-after defensive line prospects of a long time. And the physical skills are obviously there. He's had a lot of problems both on and off the field that have derailed him. But from when he's been visible, he's been okay. This is a guy that, you think maybe you could turn it around as sort of a diamond in the rough and a reclamation project. But is he going to make it? I don't know. He's firmly on the roster bubble for me. I've seen projections where he's in. I've seen projections where he's out. There's going to be some tough decisions. And again, the health plays into that factor too. I think we'll see it in the linebacker room. I don't think anybody expected Montrell Meander to make it. But the fact that he's now injured, that opens up another spot for somebody else to compete and get more minutes in the final game to maybe make one final last impression or to stand out on special teams. It moves everybody up that order who is below him a little bit. And, those are the type of decisions, there is still things to play for this weekend. There are spots still on the line that they're deciding. In a way, that's a good thing. And the other thing, they're not cutting players because they're so bad that they obviously don't belong. We have been around Browns teams that have done that. You know that, Dave. We've seen that too often. That is not the case now. There are several guys on this team who are going to get cut, who are going to surface on other teams. They might not make it in the long term. They might be number 53 on another roster, but they're going to cut 4 or 5 guys who get claimed by other teams after the initial cut downs. And that's going to be a very busy time around the league. You're going to see a lot of guys get claimed this year. And several ex-Browns will be among them. I think you'll see a defensive lineman get claimed. I think you will certainly see a wide receiver or 2 who don't make it get claimed by another team. So, yeah, these are big minutes. And even if they show out and aren't necessarily playing for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and the Browns when they're finishing up training camp and getting the final preseason game, you better believe that they're auditioning for other teams. And they know that, and the Browns know that. And I think that going back to what Johnson talked about the sort of servant leadership attitude that this franchise has taken, you better believe that they're going to try to do that for those guys. If guys have shown up and done the work and they know that they're not going to make it in Cleveland, you better believe they're going to help them make it, try and make it somewhere else. And I think that's the sign of a good, well-run organization. And it's just great to have, first world football problems instead of worrying about how many guys can we claim off of other rosters who are going to start for us week 1. That's not the case in Cleveland anymore. Thank goodness.